Hey, today I thought I'd do an update on my new gishki build since I haven't done the last one since I found out what was going to come into the new hidden arsenal. I thought I'd leave it till then. But also I was supposed to do one on December, except caught ill, and then January I was on holiday for God knows how long. It didn't feel like holiday, it felt like torture. But this is the gishki build that I've been working on for the past 3 weeks. It's done quite well. I've used it in 2 tournaments and topped, I think it was 5th or 6th in that. Halifax, we did a mini regionals, and then we went to, as a group, for the Halifax group, we went to the regionals and we didn't do half bad. My deck came, I think it was 15th. However, I did miss one round. But if it wasn't for that, I would have had 4 wins out of the 5. But I did. This is a really good deck, so I thought I'd do a profile on it. So for your Gishki ritual monsters, you'll need your one long-legged Guskraken. Now he works by, you have to ritual summon him with a Gishki ritual spell, and then you can select 2 random cards in your opponent's hand. Then your opponent has to return one of them to their deck. So far it's my most favourite ritual monster. It was a pity I had to hit the banned list though. Then the next are 2 Soul Ogres. This is the beat stick of all the Gishkis. When it has to be same ritual summoned like Guskraken, and then you can discard 1 Gishki card from your hand to the graveyard to return a card on the field to your opponent's hand. Then 2 Mind August. Now this is the graveyard control. Now with this, it's got to be ritual summoned as past 2, and then you can select 5 cards in either player's graveyard and return them back to the deck. This one I used mainly to try and get over the Lavelvos that I faced. It was mainly the Lavelvos, the Insectors, Dragoonities, and also I used it to stop one Mermail deck. God knows how I did that, but it pulled off. But I was surprised I didn't go up any Chaos Dragons, because this completely stopped them the first ever time I tested it out. It was against Chaos Dragons, and I returned every light back into their deck, so they had no targets to special any of their Red Eyes or anything like that. And then for your searches, you run 3 Gishki Shadows and 3 Gishki Visions. Now Shadow and Vision can be counted as a whole tribute for summoning any Gishki ritual monster, and Shadow searches for your Gishki ritual spell and Vision searches for your monster. So this deck does a lot of searching like crazy with it. Then you run 2 Chains. They work like a duality for this deck, except if you with this you can pick any ritual spell which you see at the top 3 cards of your deck. If you see a ritual spell or ritual monster, you reveal it to your opponent and you put it to the hand. But unlike duality, the other 2 cards you put to the top of your deck in any order. So if you wanted to, you could have ran a Diviner in this deck, and Diviner's ability to guess the top card of your deck. If you're right, it gets added to your hand, so you will know the next card that you will draw effectively. So you can basically do top deck stacking, basically stacker's card. Then after that, it's 3 Gishki Aerials. When it's flipped, you can add any Gishki card to your hand, and then for the last Gishkis, Gishki Abyss, it lets you add any Gishki with 1,000 defense or less from your deck to your hand. This one was used for me to search for Guskraken, and for my searches for Gishki Shadow or Vision, they put them to the hand so I can discard to search for any ritual monster or ritual spell that I require. Then for the last leftover monsters, I run 1 Moon Glacier. Since they're all waters, and with the Gishki Mind August you control the deck like crazy, if this card is in your hand, Mind August will just send any monsters back to the deck until you have 5 waters to summon Moon Glacier, and then it's completely fine. Then for the leftovers, 2 Trags and 1 Gauze. Now I found out, thought of it, just came to mind 2 days ago, but since it copies any level in the graveyard, you can use it to either nick a monster your opponent controls and use that for your tributing cost, or you can use it to copy a Gishki ritual monster in your graveyard, then use Aquamirror's effect to put the Gishki monster back to your hand, and then use all set up to tribute trag to summon a Gishki ritual monster. Then Gauze, because this deck doesn't set a lot of cards, so you won't really have much of a back row, and if you do, you can use it up quickly. So if you've got no monsters on the field, you use up your back row quickly to then you drop your Gauze. Then that's all your monsters. Then onto your spells, you run 3 of the ritual spells, Gishki Aquamirror. This is the only ritual spell that I run. I used to run Forbidden Art, but it didn't work out that well. I would only, if you do run a Forbidden Art, you would only need to run 1 of them, or side it as an option, but whatever you do, you must run 3 Aquamirrors. It's the ritual spell for the Gishkis, but it also's got a good catch with it. If that and a Gishki ritual monster in the graveyard, you can return that from your graveyard back to your deck and put the ritual monster back to your hand. So it's quite a good thing. However, when you ritual summon, it's got to be the exact level. It can't be any higher, unfortunately. Then since you run so many waters, 2 Murray of Greeds, you use them for your ritual monsters if you don't need them and you've got visions and that in your hand to already set up. 2 Salvage. Now I was going to run 3 but it clogged up, but this is an amazing card. It works so well because your vision here and your shadow are both got less than 1/5 attack. So salvage, you would just discard those 2, or discard 2 visions, or how many shadows or visions you're going to use, to then search for your ritual spell and ritual monster, then play your salvage to put them back as your tributing costs for your ritual monsters. And since with your August, you can put them back into your deck, whatever you want. But it is an amazing card, and it makes the deck work so consistently. Then after that, you need to run, this is just the throw-ins after, to fill up the space, 2 MSTs, 1 Heavy Storm, and 1 Reborn. I don't run a Dark Hole because this is a complete offense, and if you run a Dark Hole, it can kind of spoil your plan. But Reborn, you have to be careful in this deck because it can get complicated at times. But if you haven't, if your ritual monster has not been ritual summoned before it hits the graveyard, you cannot reborn it at all. It cannot be special summoned until it has been ritual summoned first. So it can somehow spoil your opponent's plans, but it can spoil your own, just depending. You always have to ritual summon it, but there is a catch as well. If you send the ritual monster back to your deck and then it's been sent to the graveyard again but hasn't been ritual summoned, you can't reborn it. So it works and it doesn't. I mainly use it for my Gauze or Trag. Then after that you run 3 Aquamirror Meditations, reveal a ritual spell to select 2 Gishkis in your graveyard and put them to your hand. Notice how it says only Gishkis. You can put your ritual monsters, your regular monsters, whatever you need back into your deck. And then 2 Torrential Tributes and 1 Solemn Warning. Now you might think that, hey, where's the extra deck? But in this deck you don't really run an extra deck at all. I'm not saying you don't have to run one. You can run Utopias, any rank 4, 2, or even sometimes a rank 8 or a 6. I don't really run Exceeds. I used to run a Photon Strike Bouncer in this deck and the Utopia, but never needed to use them since the deck works so well in just bringing out the end Gishkis. So thanks for watching, and I'll show you another video another day.